Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you again. Nice to welcome you to another day, another live program here from Kyiv, Ukraine. I'm really excited about my guests today, and I would like you people to go call your friends and family. You are going to like my guest today. I'm sure you are going to enjoy the conversation. So go ahead and invite your friends and family. Go tag people that you know. And, this is a young person that is just taking our world by storm. Taking our world by storm. And I'm excited by what she's doing. I'm really, really excited. So let me introduce you to Miss Peace Ugwuanyi. How are you, Peace?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Yes, the whole world is saying hi to you today.
Hello.
Yes, now, Peace, you are only, maybe I shouldn't say your age because, I learned that when I was in the university here in Ukraine, that we actually, in Russia, that at least the white girls, some of them don't like you to mention their names. I mean, their ages, without permission, especially. So, I learned my lesson, so I'm trying to behave. So we're not going to mention your age, but I'm just going to say you are such a young girl. And you came to this country at a tender age. And now you are taking your world by storm. I mean, you are all over the place. You are all over the place. So who is Peace? Ugwuanyi, right?
Yeah, Ugwuanyi.
Yes. Who is Peace Ugwuanyi?
Okay, so I'm thinking of how best to introduce myself, but I would say Peace Ugwuanyi is a young, passionate girl that has understood what it means to serve and has dedicated her life to serving her gifts to the world. I think that's the best way I can introduce myself.
I'm coming from where?
Okay, I'm a Nigerian. I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, and I lived in Nigeria for 17 years of my life, and I came to Ukraine, when I was 17. So that's it.
Yeah, that's quite early, right? So how come your parents were able to release you that early to leave the country?
Letting me go that early. I don't know if that was very early. I had a family friend that was here too, and I think she left at 17. So that gave my parents a little boldness to say, okay, girl, you can go at this age. And aside that, I lived in a boarding school all my life for 6 years, and was in a different state from my parents.
Okay.
So I practically left the house when I was 11.
Wow.
I practically left the house when I was 11. So stayed away from them for 6 years. So it was not really a debatable issue when I was going to leave. They were kind of assured that, I was going to be good wherever I went to.
Were you able to establish any bond? Because I had a similar situation with my mom. My mom, I don't have a father, but with my mother, I had a similar situation whereby, but it led to me not actually getting bonded with her. I was never bonded with my mom. I was living with my grandmother. That is the person I regarded as my mother because I was able to have a good bond with her. But with my mother, real mother, I couldn't bond because I was not with her most of the time. Do you know kind of identify what I'm trying to describe, or do you didn't have that challenge?
I had a little of that. For example, my parents were really busy parents. They were both my parents are both lecturers still now, and they were not so much at home. But one of the things that helped me was after secondary school, I spent 1 year at home. So that was like we all had a gap year. All my siblings, we all had a gap year. So that was like the time we kind of bonded with our parents, stayed at home more with our siblings after secondary school. But I was pretty close with my mom. Yeah, kind of. I was kind of close with my mom. So that helped a lot. They visited every time we had visiting days in school and stuff like that. So even though they were not so much there, but I kind of had a relationship with them.
Okay. So, but it's easier for you to go.
Yeah, it was easier for me to go. I think I was really this very independent child that I liked to do things on my own a lot. So they didn't really consider it like, oh, will she be okay? Will she be fine? And things like that. Like I was very independent growing up. So yeah, it was easy for them to.
Does that give you sometimes a random thought of maybe your life is playing out this way because you are going to end up being a missionary or going to marry to another culture or another country, or maybe you are going to be in the same country but married to another part of Nigeria, or you are going to live outside of Nigeria. Maybe that is all a preparation, or maybe you are going to be a missionary somewhere or something like that. Did you ever give that a thought?
Okay, so growing up, I always told my parents I wanted to be a missionary doctor. But now the thing is, I didn't even see my want to be independent as an advantage. I always felt like I was that child that didn't want to be close to home. So even sometimes my parents complained about it, and my other siblings were like, "Girl, you are not at home. Like you're not too connected to home like other kids." So everybody was like, it was seen as a disadvantage, not really as something good. It's now that when I stayed like 5 years, getting to 6 years now in Ukraine, that I've seen how being independent helps me a lot. And I began to see the advantages of all those things. Even what you just said now, like, do you think you will get married to another culture and things like that? I have those thoughts in my head because I've seen that I'm not really attached to home, culture, and things like that so much like my other siblings. So yeah, you're right.
Well, I told in the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned that peace is all over the place, that you are all over the place. You are multitasking yourself. Nobody will believe that you are a student because you are doing so many things at the same time. You are so active. Social media, Facebook could be, we could say Facebook is belongs to you now, to a large extent, at least, for the age group people that you are ministering to. And, very active, very dedicated, very focused. Will you just tell us, because I'm saying you are all over the place and people might not know what exactly I meant. Will you give us a rundown of activities, various activities that you are involved with?
Okay, so various activities I'm involved in on Facebook. Most especially, why maybe it looks like I'm
not just Facebook though.
Yeah. So let me use Facebook as an example.
Yes.
So how I started using social media was, I think after HMT though. I used to be on social media, but maybe not really active, maybe not really, like I didn't know the intention of what I wanted to do on social media. But as soon as I got what I wanted to do, I decided I was going to use social media because that was where my age group dwelt a lot. So I decided that I was going to make use of that space a lot. I love to write. So I write short articles and things, like I love to express myself. So most times I put out my thoughts and I put it on my wall, on my Facebook, and I find out that a lot of people connect with it. So their connection with some of the things I write pushed me to keep writing more. And then I also have a Facebook Live where I share, inspire people, teach some things I learned, and also interview young people doing a lot of things, great things in Africa. And that's majorly some of the things I do on social media that makes it look like I'm all over the place. And also I have an organization where we put videos on. So yeah.
So those are 3 or 4 projects now you mentioned.
Yeah.
So can you mention them one by one again?
Okay, so I write articles on Facebook.
So what do you write about mainly?
I bring out lessons from my daily life experiences.
And is it a
Any
daily,
lesson I learn.
a daily blog
Yeah.
kind of?
I used to have a blog before, but I put it down after some time, but I'm going to start it up again in September. So I used to have a blog and my Facebook page too. So yeah, I put down my experiences. The blog was weekly, but Facebook, I didn't have a proper schedule for my Facebook post. I just post like as thoughts come into my mind, any lesson I learn, I can just put it up there and share with people.
Okay, that's just randomly.
Yeah, random thoughts.
So you still do that up to now?
Yeah, my daily lessons, books I read, lessons I get from books I read, come across a quote, watch something that taught me something, and I put it down there.
Wonderful. So daily lessons is that one.
Yeah.
Then after that?
Then I have a Facebook live show.
Facebook live show. What do you mean show? Is it something like we are doing now, or is something that you do by yourself, or you interview people? Tell us more about that.
Okay, so my Facebook live is, I do three main things. Sometimes I teach on Facebook live, like I teach some of the things I learn, some of the things I've read, or the things I practice in my life. I teach there to inspire people. Then the second thing I do is I share books. I do book reviews on my Facebook live shows. And then the third thing I do is I interview young people doing things in Africa. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so we are going to, so you mentioned another third one.
Yes. The third one is an organization I started on Facebook.
Okay. What is that organization?
Okay, so...
Or you don't want to talk about that?
No, of course I want to. I don't want to confuse people. I have two organizations on Facebook. The first one is a proper organization, while the second one is a movement. The first one is Beauty in You organization, and it's like a place where I inspire young people. It's just where I put something together. We do conferences online. I talk with young people that want to have a one-on-one with me. So that's what that organization is about.
What is it called?
The second one is
What is it called?
Beauty in You, like the beauty in people, the beauty in you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. And then the second one is Speak Out Africa Movement. So Speak Out Africa Movement is a movement against child sexual abuse. So I put in a lot of effort there right now because I feel like that's where I want to go into child and adolescent psychology when I'm done with med school. And I'm putting a lot of effort to see what I can do with that. So yeah, that's where my focus is at the moment.
Then you said you also interview young Africans. Is that another one?
No, that's for my Facebook live shows, yeah.
Facebook live shows. Who are the people you invite? Does that have any particular topic or any particular interest?
Okay, so as much as I invite them, I kind of give them a direction on what they could share or a topic.
No, what informs you who you invite?
Oh, okay. So I belong to a lot of inspiring groups like Young Queen Leaders Award, United Nations, and things like that. So I look out for young people like myself that inspire me and are doing great things. And I also belong to some scholarship boards. So I see a lot of young people maybe that win scholarships or people that are inventing things and stuff like that. So what I do is I'm very careful to, most of the groups I belong to, I look out for young people doing things like that. So I invite them to the show.
Excellent, excellent. Beautiful. Now, you mentioned that your parents are both professors, right?
My dad is a professor, but my mom, my both parents are professors actually.
Yeah. So what do they teach?
My dad is a professor in banking and finance, while my mom is a professor in accounting.
What?
My dad is a professor in banking and finance,
yeah,
while my mom is a professor in accounting.
Oh, very similar kind of direction.
Yeah.
But you are not going. You or maybe some of your siblings are going that same way.
No, none of us.
Wow.
None of us.
Is that
But
intentional?
I don't know if that's intentional, but funny enough, I think my parents felt like maybe they should have done something more. Like my mom told me that she wanted to study medicine, but then her parents couldn't afford it. So she did a degree in food tech. Then after she did food technology, she didn't like it. Then she went back to school again to study accounting. So I don't know, but I don't know if they were, maybe she wanted more for herself. I guess my mom wanted more for herself. So they were not really pushing us to do what they did. So I even feel like they were even like kind of inciting us to, oh, why not go into sciences? Why not go into this and stuff like that? So, but yeah.
All right. Now, you mentioned your time in HMT, and I remember that HMT. But you wrote, greatly about it here that your transformation started from HMT. Tell us about that.
Oh, okay. So at a point in my life, I knew I wanted more. I wasn't content with, or maybe the whole religious life and everything, especially when I came to Ukraine. So I remember being invited for HMT that year. I think it was 2017, January 2017. And I sincerely came for that HMT with my whole heart because I wanted something new. I have heard a lot of things. I'd watched some videos, but I was not very consistent. So coming for that HMT, I was blown away. I made life-changing decisions from that HMT, like deciding that I was going to create the life I wanted by myself. I understood what it meant to love God. And I decided I cannot forget where we talked about restraint and constraint in that HMT. And I used it to shape my life. I used it to shape my life. That, I think, the lessons we learned on constraint and restraint in that HMT was what helped me to see what I really wanted in my life, how I wanted to go, and the things I needed to push away. So I think that was the life-changing decision that pushed every other thing and made me intentional with my life and other things I wanted to do.
So how did your life change from there?
How did my life change?
What
The
did you
truth is, I
begin to
would
do
say,
that you didn't do before?
yeah, I would say how my life changed was I made up my mind to serve my gifts from that HMT. I was conscious of some of the gifts I had, but I don't know what exactly was what held me back. But after the HMT, I made up my mind that I was going to look for avenues on which I would serve my gifts. Where were the audience I wanted? Where were the people that needed my gifts? So I began to search. Where are they? Are they on this place? Are they on social media? Are they wherever they were? I made up my mind to reach out to them. So I think after that January HMT, I held my first online conference that I had about, surprisingly, I didn't even know it was going to be that good. I had about over 100 and something people attend the conference online from 11 countries. And that was so exciting for me, humbling and encouraging at the same time. So after I did that,
What did you use to hold it? Did you do a webinar in a hall? You rented a hall, or you did it on Skype, or how?
no. So what I did was this. I used Facebook to hold the conference. So what I did was I put up this whole flyer for people, and put up the guests I wanted to be in the conference and everything. And I gave people a registration link for the conference. So people were registering and registering and registering. So got them updated when the conference was going to start. That was International Women's Day. International Women's Day is 3rd of March. So that was then in 2017. So I got them encouraged them and everything. Everybody was prepared for the particular day. So what happened was, it was a 3-day conference. So on this same group, I said Beauty in Your Organization group page, I had the guests come on live on the Facebook group. So the only people that were on this Facebook group were those that registered. for the conference. And it was a free conference too. But the essence of registering was to be accountable to those and then send them materials at the end of the conference for everything. So they came for the conference. The speakers talked like on a Facebook Live, did a lot of things. And after that, they sent a worksheet. So the worksheets were sent to their emails because they registered. So we did that for 3 days. And then on the last day, we concluded everything. I sent them a worksheet. Would you want to be mentored? Would you want to have a one-on-one talk and stuff like that? And some of them got back to me, and that was how the conference happened.
So you were pleasantly surprised by the success of the...
I was shocked. That's the word. I was shocked. I was really, really, really surprised, shocked, and encouraged at the same time. It was humbling and encouraging. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then what were the... So that's how everything started?
Yeah, that was how everything started. That was my first time of really utilizing the Facebook Live videos. So after the conference, I was like, oh, that means there are people that actually need this stuff. There are actually people that want more. There are people that actually want to do something about the life they have. So I said, okay, why not share some of the things you've learned on Sundays with the Facebook Live? So that was how I started Facebook Live.
So you do your Facebook Lives on Sundays?
Yeah.
Every Sunday?
Yeah, every Sunday. Even though we've not been on for the past 2 weeks because I traveled for a conference.
Are you back now?
Yeah, I'm back.
What's the conference about?
I went for, okay, so this is another good stuff and one of the kingdom fruits, right?
Yes.
So in January, I was nominated as one of the global youths, global change makers, alongside 59 other people in the world. So we had a summit.
Global change makers.
Yeah, global change makers.
Wow.
So we were nominated, we were chosen, and then we applied for it. You apply for it with what you're doing and stuff like that.
So, and these are people below the age of 30, right?
People below the age of 23.
Below 23, wow.
Yeah, from 18 to 23 years.
Okay.
So then we all had to, people have different projects and stuff like that. So they train us on how to approach world problems, how to design thinking, project management, system thinking, and everything. And then they give fundings for projects, and they also link us up with mentors and other people all over the world that can help you in whatever project you're doing.
So they give funding to all the people?
No, not everybody. So the funding comes according to, some people have not really, they're not very concrete with the projects they're doing. So if you're concrete with your project, by September 12th, the application for project funding will be open. So you submit the project you're doing, how you want to do the project, and your taxes and everything. So if your project is good enough, then they are going to fund your project.
Beautiful. And they are just an organization that is open for everyone?
Yeah, it's open for everyone, like everyone. We had people from every continent. There were people from every continent in there.
So anybody can just go online?
Yes. Funny enough, as soon as I registered, I found out that they shared it on your page too.
Oh, okay.
I saw that it was shared on your page. I was like, really? And then,
on my Facebook page?
Yeah, your Facebook page, they shared it. I saw the advert there some time ago.
Wow. So anybody could have just gone there to register?
Yes. Funny enough, people were like, so how did you get in contact with them? I actually stumbled on it on Facebook, on not Facebook, on a website. There's this website I always check out, Youth Opportunities.
Okay.
Or Opportunity Desk. So these are opportunities. In case there's anyone listening to this, a young person, this could be beneficial too.
Yes.
So we have Youth Opportunities and Opportunity Desk. So these are places where you would see scholarship opportunities, doctorate degree opportunities, master's scholarships, and then leadership scholarships too. For example, you're doing something in your community, anything like that. You would see different fully funded, because this particular one I went for is fully funded. Some are fully funded, some are not fully funded. You see different opportunities there.
They give you pay for your ticket, for your housing,
everything, every single thing.
and then they still offer to sponsor your project.
Yeah.
And where is that?
We in Switzerland. We went to Switzerland.
So you have to go and get the visa,
Yes.
and they honor the visa, no problem.
Yes, I paid for my visa application. You pay for it. So, but yes, I got the visa. It was not a challenge. I didn't think anyone really had a problem with visa, because the organization writes to the embassy that you're coming and things like that.
So what about if Nigerians or Africans, for example, would have shown interest? Do you think they would have allowed them to come? They would have given them a visa?
Yes. We were two people that represented Nigeria. So I attended as a Nigerian. We were two that represented Nigeria. So I had a guy from Nigeria. He came directly from Nigeria, from Calabar.
Wow.
While I came from Ukraine. So I came as a Nigerian, even though I live in Ukraine. They didn't even know I was studying in Ukraine.
Wow.
But I represented Nigeria, not Ukraine.
Wow. Amazing. So what about, who are these people? Are they Swiss people, Switzerland people?
Okay, so Global Youth Summit was a British project before. A project that was funded by the British government.
Global Youth Summit.
Yeah, Global Youth Summit is the conference, but the name of the organization is Global Change Makers.
Okay.
So it was owned by the British government before. Then in 2008 or 2010, they wanted to close down the project. Like, they were done with the project. So the two people that were working with the British Council then, that were managing the project, said that it was a very beneficial project and they didn't want the British Council to close it down. So they picked it up and made it like an individual organization. So now is now no longer under the British Council and things like that. So they are the ones organizing the conference right now. So they now moved it from London to Switzerland, where they have the conferences.
So they arrange the funding, they raise the finances.
Yes. Yeah, basically they have people, they have organizations that they partner with that sponsors the conference.
Okay, what is their vision? Because if, let's say, if it was the British Council, their vision was to probably promote Great Britain and all that. But what is the vision of these particular people?
Okay, so I would have gone to bring their T-shirt where they wrote everything, but I can still remember it, but I'll paraphrase. So their intention is to raise young change makers that are going to bring world solutions in different communities they belong to. So they work with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So whatever you're doing has to be in line with the Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
United Nations, yeah.
Is it just for developing countries or for all countries, either develop or developing?
No, for every country. Every country.
What are some of the things that challenge you in that conference?
Wow. Okay, that's a big one. So many things challenged me. First of all, I think the greatest challenge was seeing young 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds have a problem-solving mindset. Like, they were literally from different countries I've not even heard of. It was my first time of hearing of Fiji. It was my first, but I heard Fiji was like, I'm like, does this country really exist? So we had people from different countries, and most of them were 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds.
What are the other countries that was your first time of hearing?
I think Fiji was the only one.
Okay.
Other ones were, I knew other countries. We had Nepal, we had Bangladesh, we had other countries were there, Spain, London, the US, UK, Canada, like people from different countries. So we had Zambia too. We had some other Africans. There was people from Zambia were there, people from Kenya, and then from Nigeria, then Egypt. I think those were the only African countries. We were about 5 of us from Africa.
Beautiful. So what are the things you said challenge you? There's problem-solving mind?
Mindset was one. Then the second thing was how different world problems were actually connected. most times when people are solving problems, you're like, oh, this is the most important problem in the world. But I found out that with system thinking that we were taught there, that every problem is actually solving a problem could be causing a problem for another particular group. So like for us to actually achieve everything we want to achieve in the world, everybody has to work together. If some people are working on global change, if some people are working on producing rubber materials, they could be causing some environmental problems. So if we have this like mindset of systemic thinking, what if you're doing something, you're thinking, could it be causing a problem in another area in the world? Could it be bringing another problem or something like that? So that was the second thing I learned, system thinking. Then the third thing was how, as different as we all are, we are still all connected. We had a great bond as we were all from different countries. We had people that were gay, we had people that were like different beliefs, but love, like there was this bond and love amongst everybody, and we all cared about each other. That was the thought.
Nobody was condemning another person?
No, like it was so open, like nobody was condemning anybody. Nobody was making anybody feel, oh, you're doing something wrong and things like that. No. But there was this love amongst everybody. We had Muslims, like people from different religion, people from different beliefs and everything, but everybody was still working together.
Were you able to connect with some Christians there?
Yes, I was. I was able to connect with some Christians, and it was really, really encouraging. I remember one of my friends, so she asked me a question about how do you associate with someone that is gay from the whole thing. And then because she was coming from the Christian perspective, so I said, okay, and I asked her, how do you think Jesus was going to see someone that was gay? I said, first of all, the most important thing is don't see the person as gay. See the person as that person that God loves and everyone God loves. It's true the person may have an issue. You don't know the person's background and stuff like that. It could be as a result of so many things that has brought the person to where the person is. But first of all, what you should see the person as is a human being that God loves equally too. So now, if you have an opportunity to maybe talk more intimately with the person, or maybe share your idea of Christianity with the person, or the person wants to know your view on this, then that could be an opportunity to actually talk to the person about it. So, and she was like, okay, and stuff like that.
Amazing. So is that, what is the atmosphere like? Is it like HMT kind of thing?
Oh, okay. The environment was, yes, something like the HMT environment, but not as intense as HMT. It was intense, but not too intense. For example, we woke up, we had breakfast at 8. You can wake up anytime you want, but you have to be on the breakfast table at 8. And we ended everything around 6, 7. So if you wanted to do other extracurricular activities like hiking, because we stayed like on a mountainside, so some people went hiking in the night, some people walked in the night. So it was like a relaxing environment, and at the same time, an opportunity for people to learn and do other things.
I saw one of the posts that you put out was about eating is it being vegetarian? Is that where
Yes.
that happened?
Yes, it was. Okay, so we had to be vegetarians for almost 1 week, right?
For how long?
Almost 1 week.
So you were there for it was a 1 week conference.
Yeah, went there on Sunday and came back on Saturday. So
okay.
Yeah, we practically ate vegetarian food for the whole 5 days or 6 days we spent there.
Was that intentional?
Yes, I think it was intentional, because on the last day, the Friday to our departure, the night we had a barbecue and we were allowed to eat meat and stuff like that. But they wanted us to know that we could do it, and they also helped us to understand the advantages of being vegetarian and how it affected the environment too.
Amazing. Is that your the only one you have attended a conference like that, you have attended for youth abroad, or you had another experience also?
This is the first international conference that I'm attending with, like, that was that massive with other young people, like, all over the world. This was my first time.
Let's go back to the HMT where you said everything started from.
Yeah.
There were so many of you there. What's your impression of conferences or trainings like HMT?
Wow. My impression on conferences like HMT, like in what aspects? Let me know.
Yeah, in the aspect of what it did to you.
Oh, in the aspect of what it did to me.
Yes.
First of all,
or maybe to others. Maybe you also even know of other people. Because I think that the HMT you are talking about is the student HMT where
yes.
Anu also was there.
Yes.
Is that the one where Anu was there?
Yes, exactly.
And Anu also said that was the HMT that totally transformed and changed his own perspective and his whole direction in life as well. So, you know, that's why I'm asking, you know, maybe what do you think about, is it supposed to be encouraged or be done for youth? And because if someone like you, and maybe there are some other names that I might not know that emerged from that HMT, you know, maybe, you know, it's something that should be repeated.
I must say, I remember when the call for that HMT was, a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to go for different reasons. But if there is an opportunity like that again, I would encourage every young person to go. And this is why. One of the things that HMT did for me, and I believe that's what a lot of HMTs do for people that are open-hearted, and you really want, like, you're tired of being where you are, and you want something else. That HMT, I was really, really open-minded. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. I wanted to live where I was. So after the HMT, I don't know if a week conference can change somebody's mindset or do something. I wouldn't say my mindset totally changed, but that HMT, it's kind of, I'll put it this way, it started like a volcanic eruption in my mind. And I remember going home, went through everything that was taught, and I went through everything again, wrote down the decisions I wanted to make, and I started working immediately. Now, this is something that if you really want something different to happen to you, you don't just go for such things and let it go. I know some of my friends that went for that HMT, and I don't know if it's changed them the way it's changed me. But at the same time, I know a lot of people that went for that HMT and it's changed them. And I feel like it's something that should be encouraged. But while it's encouraged, you must really be hungry. You have to be hungry for you to be fed. For you to grow, you have to be hungry. Because if people are not hungry, you may still go for such HMTs and come out, and yet you don't really have any change in your life and no impact. So I would say it's something that should be encouraged, but it has to be young people that are hungry and want to grow and live where they've been.
Beautiful. Apart from Anu, do you know anybody that attended it?
Yes, I know some of my friends that attended HMT. It was a student HMT, so I think I can still remember some other people that attended.
With some positive results, attitude is what I mean.
Okay. Let me see. I don't know. Okay. I've moved a lot, and I don't want to say I don't keep so much in contact with them, but for the people that I know that went for that HMT, I know Anu was there, I know Victor was there, I know Success was there, and these guys were already doing great stuff, even and they are still doing great stuff. So I know one of my friends, Adelaja, was there too, and Adelaja is doing great. She just graduated last year too, but I'm not so much in contact with her, so I don't know exactly everything happening in her life at the moment.
You said you were getting tired of religion before the HMT.
Yes, I was.
What do you mean getting tired of religion?
Okay. So I remember saying in my background story I wrote there that I came from a very religious home, like very really religious home. I was born in Scripture Union. There's something we call Scripture Union in
Oh,
Nigeria.
yeah.
So, yes,
I know them.
I was born into Scripture Union, and I was a very diligent Scripture Union girl. I remember my gap year after secondary school. I was a school visitor in Scripture Union, where we visited secondary schools and, formed Scripture Union groups in those schools. So I was really into Scripture Union a lot. So coming to Ukraine too, like, I carried that dedication and love for God, and believing that loving God was getting myself into so many of those activities. So I was in church too, and I was a pastor. I was made the pastor of my church. So
wow, pastor of your church in Ukraine?
Yes, in Ukraine. So I was literally carrying the church in my head.
What, a church that started from Nigeria?
No. It was not in Nigeria. It started where I was in Crimea then.
But yeah, is it the original, whatever, the headquarters? Is it from Nigeria?
No, I don't think the church had the headquarters. They just started the church in Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like, I was the pastor then. I was in second year then. So I put in my time, my life, and everything. And I believed that being in those activities was actually what it meant to love God. So I did that with all my heart. So, but at the same time, I knew that there were some boundaries the church gave me to being who I was. And they had some doctrines that I didn't even understand, but I accepted because that was what the senior pastors taught me. So they taught me those things, so I just accepted them.
And the senior pastors were there in your city?
Yes, they were there in my city too. So I didn't have to question these things. I didn't question them. So I just believed they heard directly from God, and whatever they told me was what it was. So I just accepted them. So after the war in Crimea and I moved, I remember that was when I moved to Dnipropetrovsk. And moving to Dnipropetrovsk, I was still in contact with some of my pastors. Some of them had graduated there. And I remember them telling me I should start the church in Dnipro, where I was. But I didn't want to. At this point, I was becoming tired of everything. So, like, I felt I was just uneasy with some of the doctrines. I began to question some things and all that. So, I was really, really tired of it. So that was just how the whole tiredness came about. So spending time in Dnipro, and then I started coming across some of your messages, and then I'm like, okay, you should actually have questioned this. You should actually have questioned this and stuff like that. So that was how it was.
It's just similar. Your story is very similar to that of Anu. He also told me that he was made a pastor when he came here.
Okay, you know the funny thing, we were actually in the same church.
Ooh.
We were actually in the same church. Anu was my cell leader in my church. Ooh. And I think he was one of the people that actually made me start questioning things. He was my cell leader when I was in first year. So I kind of talked with him often, and so even when he left the church and then started over here in Lviv and things like that. So we talked most times. We talked about, okay, he asked me, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? It was one of the things that made me start questioning things and reasoning things too.
And in those churches, are they in Ukraine?
Yeah, they're in Ukraine now.
Okay. In different cities among students, huh?
Yes, but I think right now the church is just in Crimea, where it initially started.
Okay.
And also in Lviv, where they had a branch after most people moved to Lviv.
Okay. You know, it's very similar to the church that Anu was pastoring, right?
That's the church Anu was pastoring in Lviv.
Okay, so that is the church that is left in Lviv now.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, what a life. But what made you to be tired of church by the time you were coming to HMT?
What made me to be tired of church when I was coming to HMT was...
Of religion altogether.
Okay, so I had a conversation with people. I think I heard one of your messages that talked about one of the messages that talked about ministry, what ministry truly was. Okay. Either it was a video or a clip. Mm-hmm. I just watched part of it. So, and that was my initial argument. So I wanted to know what ministry was. Now, the definition of ministry that church or religion taught me was the fact that ministry was serving in church. Ministry was like practically preaching the word of God, not necessarily implementing the principle of God all over the world or in different areas on earth. But it felt like if you were not singing in choir, if you were not a pastor in church, if you were not doing things in the four walls of a church, then you are not a minister. So, but after I said I didn't want to be a pastor again, and I was like, does that mean that's the end of ministry for me? So I said, no, there is more to ministry than this. And then when I heard what you said ministry was, that ministry was not even in the four walls of it, it's more than the four walls of a church. So I was now like, okay, this is what I believe is ministry. Because what of people that are not pastors in churches? What of people that are not whatever in churches? So that mentality was what made me want more. Because sharing that thought with people, they said, no, peace, you've fallen, no, you're no longer in line with what God wants. That's not ministry and stuff like that. So I said, no, I need to know more about this. I need to learn more about this. So that was one of the things that made me tired of religion.
Yeah, because here you are saying that at the HMT or after the HMT you discover, or at the HMT you discover what ministry really is. And that, it's about loving people, and loving God is loving people, not religion, right?
Yeah.
And that was a total mind shift for you.
Yes.
And that you understood that you could create your own life.
Yeah.
And you became intentional about, doing exactly what God put in your heart to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So so you mean you were thinking before that to serve God is just to be involved in church activities?
Exactly.
Rather than people?
Yes.
So how will you compare your understanding of ministry before and right now? Because what you describe as the understanding of ministry before for you is still exactly the way most Christians, especially from Africa, that is exactly what they still believe. They go to church, they go to every day, different activities, and that is what they are still calling ministry. So how will you find the parallel, and what are the differences between your understanding of ministry before and which most people are still holding on to, and your understanding of ministry now?
Okay, so I would explain not just the understanding alone and what it has done to me. So first of all, what happened in the understanding is, before I thought that just being in church alone was exactly what God wanted for me. In fact, I felt like that I was the best, like this one so loved by God because of the dedication and everything I put. So I wanted to do more to be loved more by God. I wanted to give everything, but in that four walls of a church, just for those people there. But right now, I've understood, the way I would just put the understanding is, I understood that loving God is serving people, and loving God is loving people. So when I understood it from that aspect, everything changed. And one of the things that changed was I wanted to serve. I wanted to serve people, not just in the four walls of the church, but wherever people were, I wanted to serve. Wherever they are on social media, I want to serve them. Am I seeing them physically? I want to serve them. Wherever I found myself, amongst Muslims, I want to serve them. Among gays, I want to serve them. Anywhere I found myself, because I've understood what ministry is, to love people, not people in the church alone, but people God created, and serve people, not just people in the church alone, but everybody in the world, I just wanted to serve. So that mindset shifted me and my life totally. And every single thing about my life changed.
Won't people who knew you before, especially people you are pastoring for, think that you are backsliding for real?
They actually, almost all my friends that knew I was a pastor, even back home in Nigeria and in Ukraine here, all think the same. They think, oh, she has backslided, she's no longer loving God. so many things like that. They say that initially it was actually getting to me because I was that girl that wanted to please people by what I did. The pleasing was not just to please God alone. I found out that it was also kind of what I call it, to make people feel good that you actually love God. Doing those things in church. They see how dedicated you are. That girl, she loves God and stuff like that. It was not really for God. So those people that saw me do those things believed so much that I loved God. So now that they were not seeing me do those same things I was doing before, they all felt like she's not loving God anymore. She's backsliding and things like that. It got to me before because I lived for what people thought. But now I'm liberated from that. So as much, it gets to me sometimes, but not like it used to be before. But I'm sure that very, very soon it won't get to me at all anymore.
So are they still in relationship with you, those your senior pastors?
I know I still talk with one of them. She's when she sees some things I do on social media, she's like, girl, I love what you do, and she's really encouraging. But the others, I've not really talked with them since then.
So at least one of them understands what you are doing and loves what you are doing and is encouraged by what you are doing.
Yes. She's back in Nigeria now and she encourages me. Sometimes she sends messages and she's like, girl, like, well done, whatever you're doing.
So that is a clear testimony that if you had remained just in the four walls of the church, you would have only been limited instead of impacting the whole world right now.
Yeah, true. That was just exactly what it was. That was exactly what it was. The freedom I felt pulling myself away from that religious mind. It's not like going to church and all that, but the mindset that changed was freedom. It was liberating. It made me understand that the world is actually the stage, not the church. It made me understand that where you're supposed to serve is the world, not just the four walls of the church. So it was freedom. It was my liberation. It was everything.
So what will you say to a lot of young people who are still having your old mindset, who are still thinking to serve God is just church activities?
Well, okay. If they are watching this video, then congratulations to whoever you are that you're watching this video at the moment, because this would be an opportunity for you to get liberated. Why I'm saying this is, I think that is something about Africans. I don't know if to say Africans, but there's this big challenge, especially for those of us that are Africans, because we grew up into this religion that made us think that this is where it all ends. And that's where serving God was. I remember like this conference we went for, and I said seeing a lot of 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and some of them started what they were doing when they were 15. Some of them started what they were doing when they were 13. Some of them started what they were doing when they were 17, like at a very young age. I saw a young person that said she was in her youth parliament when she was 14 years old. And I'm like, what? In Nigeria, I can, like, that's not the mindset. So these people grew with a problem-solving mindset. Now imagine a lot of young people in Africa. It's good understanding what it really means to love God, and with a mindset that you can cause a change in the world. That's like mind-blowing. Imagine these two together. You have God, and with God you can change a lot of things in the world. Then that's mind-blowing. You would do anything you want to do. So it was a big challenge. So if there's any young person watching this video right now, I want to challenge you that the world is actually your stage. The world is actually where you're supposed to serve. That's where you're supposed to shine your light. So it's beautiful that we are taught, some churches anyway teach the right things. It's sad that some churches are not teaching the right things. But I want you to understand that what it really means to love God is to love people and serve people. So ask yourself, how is that? What way can I serve someone else? What way can I serve the world? How? Then dig that thing in from yourself and start doing it right away. So that's my message to any young person.
We ask you a question. This program is called Kingdom Fruits. Since you finished HMT, what are the kingdom fruits you would like to highlight?
Okay, so some of the kingdom fruits I would like to highlight. Some we already mentioned here before. I think the first thing I started initially after HMT was the women conference that I had, which was like a shootout for me that made me understand that indeed the world is a stage and you can do whatever you want to do. And then after that, I started my Facebook live shows, which through the Facebook live shows, I've connected with a lot of people, a lot of young people in different African countries doing great stuff. And that's a beautiful network. Then also, one of the things that HMT did for me was it taught me how to read.
How to do what?
Read. Read books.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to stress this particular one a lot, especially for young people. And the reason I'm going to stress that is this summer, I think in June, I and one of my friends, Chinenya Magu, we said, okay, let's start a summer read challenge for young people. And when we started this summer read challenge, I started decreasing the people in the group till right now we're about 13 remaining, rounding off the 3 months reading challenge.
How many were you initially?
We started with over 30 something people. We're about 30 something. And anybody that was not serious, we're removing them till we got to 13. And even with the 13, it's still a struggle for so many. But we just said, let's try to conclude.
How many books do they have to read a week or a day?
Okay. In a week, we read like, maybe not a week, more than a week, but maybe in a day, you had like 2 or 3 chapters to read. So we're supposed to cover 9 to 10 books at the end of the 3 months.
Okay.
So, yeah. But a lot of people dropped on the way. The reason I said I want to stress on this reading is this. You may not necessarily, I'm not encouraging you to be a hard copy reader. Some people are not hard copy readers. There are audio books now. There are visual books now. But reading will open your mind. Any young person watching this video right now, reading will open your mind to different possibilities if you're reading the right books anyway. Like books it may not necessarily be school books. I'm not talking about school books right now. Whether you decide to read fiction or non-fiction, whatever books, but if you're reading the right books. I remember that year, 2016, after we read 3 books in HMT. We read Mountain of Ignorance, we read Who Am I, and I can't remember the third book we read in that HMT. I think Insulted by Your Godliness. I can't remember the third book we read in that HMT. I made up my mind that if we could read 3 books in 1 week, then every month I was going to read 3 books, nothing less than 3 books. And I kept to that. So at the end of the year, I didn't keep to it till the end. But at the end of the year, I had read about almost 30 books that year. And I started it this year again. And we're almost in September, and I've read more than 20 books already this year. So it opens your mind, and I'm encouraging every young person to do that. It opens your mind to lots of possibilities, lots of things you can do. It will teach you so many things. I can't overstress what reading has done to me. And I'm encouraging every young person that is watching this video to start reading. Start. Even if you cannot read hard copy, listen to audios. Listen to audios and watch visual books.
Wow.
Okay, so
yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the first thing that was a kingdom fruit for me was I started my book. Which I just finished recently. I've just been delaying the publishing of the book.
What is it going to be called?
The book is called The Beauty in You.
The Beauty in You.
Yes.
Is it for ladies or for everyone?
Okay, so initially when I started writing the book, I was writing the book for everyone. But at the end of it, I said the book is specifically for ladies.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then after that, then beginning of this year, I started, I created a goal setting manual because I found out that a lot of people have projects, but they don't know how to go about it. I wanted to know if the book was around here. I wanted to show. But I designed a goal setting manual that I didn't know if it was going to be useful to people. I usually do that for myself. but I just designed it to see if it was going to be helpful to other people too, and it was. I printed like 50 copies, and I sold 43 copies of the goal setting manual. And
goal setting, is it a planner?
Yeah, a goal setting planner. So it's a planner where I wanted people to set goals from intention. Like, what's your intention in life? From the intention you have, then you can set your goals down to daily tasks that you do every single day.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
And that is like a yearly goal setting planner?
Yes, like a yearly goal setting planner. So, like, I now decided to be doing it every year. So in 2019, we're going to have goals with intention 2019, and like that.
Excellent.
So that's one of it.
But that's exactly what most people don't know how to do.
Yeah. It's a big work for so many people. And I also found out there were apps too. Even though the apps were not like the way I designed it in my mind, I'm hoping that in future, maybe the goals with intention will be put in an app form so people don't have to carry books around and things like that. So aside that, I would say the organizations too have been something that has also opened my mind to, and are one of the kingdom fruits too.
You said the organization. What organization?
Speak Out Africa Movement.
Oh, okay. Speak Out Africa Movement is the one against sexual abuse.
Child sexual abuse in Africa.
Okay. So what are the things you are looking forward to doing after finishing school?
Okay, so I'm graduating next year. Yay! So, so when I graduate next year, I intend to do a master's in child and adolescent psychology. So I really want to help a lot of children.
So you want to go and start another degree?
Not another degree. I'll do a master's instead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do a master's instead. So in child and adolescent psychology. So the intention is to I want to understand every single thing that really has to do with kids and how they ought to grow wholesomely. So that's my intention in studying child and adolescent psychology. And then maybe public health and other things later. And then after school too, we are planning on a survey, Speak Out Africa Movement. We want to do a survey in different schools in Africa where we want to find out, we want to run a statistics on child sexual abuse and things like that. And we believe it's going to be helpful to solving psychological issues of children in Africa.
So do you want to study in Europe or in Ukraine or back at home? Where do you want to study that course?
No, I don't want to do it in Ukraine, and I don't want to do it back home yet. I want to go to another European country to study that.
Okay. So, and then you plan to go back to Nigeria, or you don't know yet?
I plan to go back to Nigeria. Maybe not Nigeria in particular, but I still want to go back to Africa. I want to live in Africa.
What is your plan for Africa or for Nigeria, for your dream?
I have a great passion for young people. I discovered who I was later in life. And I feel like...
Later in life, when you are just in your 20s? Early 20s?
Yes, but I feel like if it was earlier, we believe that children are supposed to understand what life is all about when they are 20, 18. But I've seen that if kids understand what it really means to know, they should understand what purpose is, they should understand what their gifts are. It would help them even in making the right choices of the courses they want to do. So instead of people just growing randomly and then at the age of 19, when you finish studying a 4-year, 5-year course, you discover that I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what I want to do with my life. Then you start rearranging your life from the beginning. So I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. And I've seen that happen to a lot of young people in Africa. So from that child and that stage of adolescence, I want kids to grow wholesomely. I want them to understand what purpose is. I want them to understand what it even means to be financially responsible. So when they are 18, they already have an idea of the path they want to take. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, you are a student still, medical student in Ukraine, and you are doing so much with influence, not just in Ukraine, but your influence is all over the world right now, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know how many countries you have followers in?
I don't know. Okay, right now, funny enough, because of the conference we just came from, all of us, we are all friends with each other, the 60 people from different countries all over the world. So literally, we are all friends to each other. So whichever country you are, you have someone that can mention your name in those countries.
Beautiful. Beautiful. But all these programs, how often do you come on Facebook?
Okay, so at the time, I used to be very, very, I used to be on social media too much. So what I did was I used to schedule posts sometimes for my organizations. On Saturdays, I schedule all the posts I want to post from Monday till Friday.
Okay.
So I do that on Saturdays. So maybe I will not come to those Facebook pages throughout that week, some of them. But for my personal Facebook page, maybe in the mornings when I wake up or when I come back from work or things like that, I try to update or reply my comments and things like that. So I try to, with the help of the goal setting manual, I try to organize my life so much so I don't get stressed out at the end of the day.
Beautiful. Now, I'm sure you've read a few of my books.
Yes.
You have some of them around you there?
Yes, I do. Let me see the one I have. I think I gave out the other one. Okay, I think I have like 3 here.
Okay.
Which other one? I gave out some, but I think I have this one, Money Will Make You Rich. Here.
Yeah, mention the ones you've read and tell me what you got from each book.
Okay, the first book I read was Church Shifts. And one of the things I learned from Church Shifts was what it really meant to understand ministry. That the world was actually our stage and we were supposed to be a light to the world and not just in the church alone.
From Church Shift?
Yes, from Church Shift.
Okay, I think, do they have the books there, Church Shift? Go ahead. No, not you.
And I was greatly, your story on how you impacted Ukraine was a big lesson for me. It was really, really, really an experience for me. Like, it doesn't have to be where you are that would limit your impact. It's what you have inside of you. So Church Shift was like a push for me. So, and I really loved that. I believe every person in church needs to read that book. So you really understand what it means to serve.
Beautiful. That's Church Shift.
Yeah. The ones that are not here, I read Insulted by Ungodliness too.
Insulted by Ungodliness, yeah.
Yeah. Insulted by Ungodliness was one story that was a book that inspired me so much too. And I remember one of the stories in that book was Malala's story.
Yeah.
Malala. And her story it taught me what it meant to really be angry. What anger can do. The anger could have great.
The right type of anger, right?
Yes, the right type of anger. That anger could change someone's life. Anger could make a great impact. So I began to channel the things that made me angry for a positive cause as a result of that book.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then I also read The Mountain of Ignorance.
Okay.
Yeah, I also read The Mountain of Ignorance. And The Mountain of Ignorance, they talked about different types of ignorance and how you could liberate yourself from any of those things. And I found out that there were little things in my life that I didn't even know they were as a result of ignorance. So that book opened my mind to the ignorance inside of me. And it taught me how to seek wisdom. It taught me how to learn from different things. Then Money Will Make You Rich. This is I remember someone called me one day and was like, tell me the books you should read on finances. And I told the person, go get Money Will Make You Rich. Money Will Make You Rich is going to teach you a lot of things. From Money Will Make You Rich, I got to understand that sometimes people would, you think while you're working and yet you're still poor. You're doing your best, working day and night, and at the end of the day, you're still poor. So Money Will Make You Rich is one of the books that will teach you how to use money. What I learned from Money Will Make You Rich is that it takes more than doing a day-to-day work for you to actually understand what money was. I learned about the law of money, the different laws of money from this book. Yeah, that's what Money Will Make You Rich. I read this one recently. I think this year, right?
What is it called?
No One Is Better Than You.
Yeah.
And I remember this book was also the books I recommended. One of the books I recommended for the reading group. This was the first book we read, I guess. No One Is Better Than You. And this book was really, really, really inspiring, and it really pushed me out. It made me understand that you have the greatest wealth inside of you. You have the greatest wealth inside of you. No matter where you are, everyone needs what you have. So that was one of the things I got from this book. And how to be in the here and now. So, this particular book, the reason I'm laughing is because this year, one of my goals was to learn to be present. How to be in here and now. That was one of my goals this year.
No, how did you know that was a problem?
I knew that was a problem because I remember coming to the house and you were interviewing someone and the person was mentioning something and you're like, this means you are not in the here and now. You're not in here. I'm like, I also go through the same thing. So I silently spoke to myself, girl, you need to work on this. So this year, that was one of my goals, to be present and in the here and now. So I had to put down different books that talked about it. And this was one of the books I wrote down that I was going to read, that was going to help me understand what it meant to be in here and now. So I read this book, and some of the exercises that were in this book were funny, but I remember they helped me a lot. Like brushing with your left,
yes.
Like brushing with your left hand, like trying to recollect things when you enter a room.
Yes.
Like when you move out from a room, try to see if you can remember the things you saw. And learn to be with yourself. So all these things were really, I started practicing them, and I can tell you.
Sorry.
So like this year, starting from when I read this book, I think I read it in February or March. Till now, this is August, ending of August, I've really, really improved in learning to be present, to be with myself and be with people when I'm there, whatever I'm doing, giving my full attention. So yeah.
You could track yourself.
Yeah.
I
think
yes.
Those are the books I've read so far.
How important is that topic to learn to be here and now? It's like you are learning from observation, because you just had me mention it to somebody else, but you were able to learn from that. So, it means you never even knew about that. If you had not been present by accident, you could have remained the same without even knowing that you needed to change something.
Yes, I had lived like that all my life. I didn't know that there was anything wrong with the fact that I cannot even remember the last thing I did, and now I go. I didn't know it was a problem. So when I saw you mention it to someone, I was like, okay, is this really a problem? And you said, I have a book on that. I'm like, okay. So I think after you mentioned that, I began to notice some things in my life that showed I wasn't present, that showed I was not, and I found out that I did a lot of things in a scattered way. I'll do this, that showed how my mind was not organized. So I knew it was something that I needed to work on. So, and getting this book and some other books have really helped me.
So you like the poem in that book, especially in the beginning?
Yes, I'm trying to even remember. I don't know if I can remember the poem, but I remember the poem that I was at the beginning of the book about
Scatterhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scatter head. The scatter brain. There is a scatter brain.
Scatter brain, yes.
Yeah.
And
It was really
yeah,
helpful.
beautiful. So are you the firstborn in your family?
No, I'm the second.
Second, what about your senior? Where is he or she?
My elder sister, she's a lawyer in Nigeria now.
So
She just
she's graduated, finished law school?
Yeah, she just finished up with law school and she's doing her NYSC now. She'll finish next month.
Wow, beautiful. What example would you like to be to your siblings? Since you are second, it means you have junior ones.
Yes, I do. What example? Okay. The reason why I'm going to be very personal now is I was talking with my younger sister. She just graduated from high school this morning and she's 16 and she really wants to get into school this year. And I'm like, who are you and what can you serve the world? Those were the questions I asked her this morning. And she's like, she doesn't know that she just wants to get into school and stuff like that. And I told her that I'm looking at the world in retrospect. The way I was also rushing to go into school. And I'm glad I spent 1 year at home because it helped me understand who I was and some of the things I wanted in life, even though those things were not clear enough. So I told her that I don't know if you will get into school this year. She did very well in her thing, but I don't know, I don't know if I really want her to get into school. And the reason is this. I wanted her to discover who she was. I wanted her to know what it meant to serve the world. I wanted her to know what she could offer the world. And that would help her choose the course she really wanted to study. So one of the examples I want my siblings to learn from me is, aside the fact that I want them to understand love in every aspect. I want them to see how much I love them and how much whatever, but I want them to see what it means to serve whatever they have to the world. And I want them to discover that early enough, not as late as I did. I want them to discover that at 15, at 14, and be grounded in it. It will help them make the right choices when it has to do with the courses they want to study, and they won't struggle so much. So that's one of the things I want them to learn from me.
But will you recommend some books for them in that sense?
Yes, yes. So I do recommend books for them. Even my siblings, we have a group chat. So we're like, let's do a book reading. I don't want to force. I'm being very careful not to let it not be like I'm trying to force things on my siblings. I suggest some ideas to them and let them see the benefits, and then they would want to be a part of it. So I suggest some books. I'm like, oh, I read this book and it was really nice. You guys should try it out. And they're like, oh, good. We should all do the book reading together as like sisters, and we talk about it on our sisters group page. So yes, I do recommend books for them too.
Excellent. Wow, 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 wow. Well, you have done so well and you are doing so well for yourself. One other question. You are a student here, medical student, and you are, like having great impact, doing so well. Is it a bit surprising for you why other students are not taking advantage of their student years to impact the world? I'm sure you are not the only Nigerian student in Ukraine.
Yes.
And in England, and in America, and in Germany, and in Japan. We have all of them everywhere.
Yeah.
But you have been outstanding.
It actually makes me sad, sincerely speaking, that a lot of people, maybe young students like me, are not really converting their time. Especially now they're in their student years. It actually makes me sad. And the reason is they may never have this time again in this life. From here, most of them are getting into homes, getting married and things like that. And they've not really understood who they are, and they're not grounded in what they want to really do with their lives. Whether I would say it's surprising for me, I wouldn't say it's surprising because I see a lot of people that are like that. But I would say it pushes me, it saddens me, and it pushes me more if I can have the opportunity to let these people understand they can do a lot with the time they have in their hands now. So any opportunity I have, maybe the people that are my friends, or maybe people that get to be my housemates and things like that, I encourage them and make them see how they can do a lot with the student years they have. Yeah.
What do you think? Why is it that people, even some of the most active people on Facebook or internet, writing something or trying to do video, at least not a bad number from Ukraine. But when you go to other countries, look at from Scandinavian countries, from mid-Europe, from Germany, France, England, you don't see students doing anything much. It's like they are still kids. They are just going to school. Even though you are there at university, you don't ever see university students being active, doing anything. Maybe their parents are active, but not the students. Is that because what could that be connected with? Is it because you have some inspiration down here? Even those ones you said were your students and they were active in starting churches, but when they go back to Nigeria, you don't kind of hear about them anymore, something like that. Do you notice that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. You said, first of all, some people are not doing anything. Like, they're on social media and are not doing anything. Some people are doing, when they go back to Nigeria, you don't hear of them anymore. Okay. Now, what I found out about so many young people is that they're actually on social media, even though they are not doing anything. There are so many young people on social media. Literally every young person is on social media. But some of them are just there to like what other people are doing, comment, watch videos, laugh, and go away. It's like their therapy.
Okay.
And that's like, because they don't have intention, they've not seen something bigger than them. So being on social media is an entertainment for them. So there's no intention being on social media. I just want to have fun. Now, some people, it's like they are kind of on social media. Maybe when they go back, the whole thing dies. Is like, I don't know if this is very accurate, but I feel like some people, we just go with the flow, but we're not grounded in what we really want. Some people just go with the flow, but they're not really grounded in what they want. And then, I always say this, look for where your audience are. As a young person, where are the young people you want to be? Where are they? Even if you don't have a social media access wherever you are, look for another avenue you can reach out to those young people. It may not necessarily be social media alone. If you can see them physically, if you're back home in Nigeria and you don't have proper access to internet, it's okay. If you have a young church, maybe your youth group in your church, use as an opportunity to impact them. So wherever you are, just if you already have a grounded intention, whether it's social media or physically, you can still impact people. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think that in the case of people from Nigerian or African origin, that a lot of them are actually active, but just in their local churches, in youth groups and things like that. Just the religious standard kind of activity, yeah.
Now, thinking of that, okay, there are so many young people that are not even in churches. There are so many young people. So if there's someone watching this, maybe you think like the only place to find young people is in church. No. There are so many young people that are not in churches, on the streets. Just, for example, let me use this as an instance. The guy that I went for this conference with, that represented Nigeria with me, his project is on street children. So what he does is that he creates opportunity. He goes to bring all these 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds that live on the streets of Calabar, and they don't have anything doing. Some of them are dropped out of school. Some of them ran away from their houses. Some of them are hawking and things like that. Now, what he did is, some of them, he tells them about Christ. Some of them, he encourages them to go back to school. He gathers money, sends them back to school. Some of them, he reconciles them with their mothers and fathers and things like that. So he just went to where some of these people are. So don't let any young person not think like the young people are in churches alone. go out of your way and look for young people in other places that need your gifts or need your service.
Wow, beautiful. Okay, you've done so well. Now, I would like you to say a word or two to our viewers, because our time is unfortunately going to come to an end right now.
Oh, okay. I actually wanted to ask.
Yes.
Before I said the last word, I wanted to ask your own advice first. Then I would give a last word.
Yes, please.
Your own advice.
To whom?
Me.
My advice to you on what?
Yes.
On what? For what?
On everything.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you are doing a good job, and you are a doer. You are not just a hearer, and you have started out quite early compared to a lot of people. For example, I myself, I started out really pursuing the purposes of God for my life actively, maybe when I was 20. Maybe I started 23, and by 27, we started this Embassy of God Church. So, but before then, I was a Christian studying and adding value to myself. But, when we started, there was no social media like this and everything. So, but by the time I was already 33, I had built the largest church in Europe. So you could have the best and the biggest influence all over the world when you start early. And I think one of the greatest things that God has done for me is that He made me to discover purpose and a purposeful living early enough. Since I was 19 when I got saved at 19, I was serious with God. I've been serious with God. And by the time I was 23, like I said, I was already living purposefully. So that is the greatest gift I think God gave me, to begin to realize that life is not a play, and life is supposed to be lived purposefully. And that really helped me to be able to achieve on time and be able to be ready to die at 40. So my wish for you is that you will live such a life that by 40 you will say, you will put a target for yourself that at 40, even if I die, or even if I were to die, I would have fulfilled all or most of the things that God has for me, so much that I will not be ashamed to see God. So live a purposeful life and an intense life in such a way that by 40 you will be ready to die, even though you will still be living after that. But even if you were to die at 40, you will be happy and proud to meet with your Savior.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now your advice to our viewers.
So my advice, especially for young people or anybody, but I would say young people more, because those are people my heart goes out for so much. So my advice is, get hungry, discover the gifts you have, and start serving immediately. Yeah, that'll be my last word.
Well, that is Peace Ugwuanyi. Well, she's a social media personality. Go and look for her. Contacts are there for you to find. Look for her on Facebook. She's very active. She has Shout Out Africa.
Speak Out Africa.
Speak Out Africa and other projects. So you are doing a great job. I'm very proud of you, but I'm sure that even our Heavenly Father is even more proud of you. Thank you so much. In the next 25 minutes, we'll be coming up with our series that we're doing, How to Know God and Be a Friend of God. Peace to you, peace.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.